Good morning, Wareham. How you doing? What's up, buddy?
What's up?
So we're gonna do chapter 20 of Witches and Dinosaurs, all about the Puritans and how they treated not only women but just things that seem odd or unusual. How you doing, buddy? What do you got there?
A wand.
Connor.
Abracadabra.
Dude, the Puritans killed witches and people who did magic. Hopefully they won't come over and see anything. Do you have any other wands? We gotta hide them, man.
I got this one.
Oh, that's a little wand. Hopefully we can hide that.
Well, it's not a wand, it's a pen.
Oh, okay. It's a pen. Ooh, a sneaky wand. All right.
And my personal favorite, Malfoy.
Malfoy's wand, the one that beats the wand of destiny.
Cool.
You have other wands, but Connor, we gotta hide these.
I know.
They're gonna hang you. All right. Well, let's read first. Then hopefully you won't get hung as we read. Okay. Here you go. You can read, buddy.
Okay. Okay.
Art thou a witch? All right. Sorry. How many Puritans do you know? Don't think too hard. The answer is 0. Puritans are like dinosaurs. They are extinct. I'll tell you what happened to them in just a minute, but don't worry. Things worked out well. Many of their descendants turned into New England Yankees. Others are spread all across the nation. Many go to the Congregational Church. In some ways, however, we are all descendants of the Puritans. Now you are shaking your head if you live in California, or Colorado, or West Virginia, or Wareham. If your parents came from Mexico or China, you're probably saying, "No way am I a Puritan." But it's true. If you're an American, you are a descendant of the Puritans, at least a little bit. Because many American laws and ideas come from Puritan laws and ideas. And they are some of the best we have. You see, the Puritans hoped to build a place on earth where people could live as the Bible says they should. A place where people would be truly good. Governor Winthrop called Puritan, Massachusetts, a city upon a hill. He expected it to stand tall as a symbol to the rest of the world. The eyes of all people are upon us, he said. The Puritans came to the New World to try and build a godly community where they could live close to perfect lives. No beings have ever been able to do that, but the Puritans tried. To make their community pure, the Puritans expected everyone to act like a spy and report any neighbor who did or said anything wrong. Can you see how that might make you a little uncomfortable around your neighbors? Maybe that helped cause the Puritans' downfall. Or perhaps it was their seriousness that did them in, or witches. We'll get to them soon. Or their self-righteousness. Self-righteous people believe they know the truth. They think that anyone who doesn't agree with them is wrong. They're apt to judge other people. Sometimes the Puritans were like that. They spent time judging their neighbors. They read the Bible every day, but they didn't always pay attention to the passage in the New Testament that asks, "Why do you observe the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and never notice the log in your own?" What does that mean? What do you think it means, Con? Does it confuse you?
A little bit.
All right. So in other words, you're worried about a little problem that someone else has, like a speck of sawdust. But meanwhile, you have a giant log in your own eye. You're not looking at yourself. Mm-hmm. All right. That's what it means. You're being hypocritical. You're not looking at your own problems. All right. Ben Franklin, one of the wisest of all Americans, wrote in his autobiography a warning against using words like certainly, undoubtedly, or any others that give the air of positiveness to an opinion. Instead, said Franklin, we should say, "It appears to me," or "I should think it's so or so, if I'm not mistaken." The Puritans were very sure of themselves. They believed that God saves only a very few people and that the rest go to a terrible hell filled with fires. They thought that God decided when a child was born if he was saved or not. They used the word elected instead of saved. And they thought they were God's elect. Because of that, they thought they should act like God's elect and lead good lives. And that's why we can be happy they're among the first colonists. They really tried their best to be good. They worked hard, they believed in learning, and they did what they thought was right. But the Puritans had a big problem. They were human and they made mistakes. The ministers didn't help. The ministers said that people were naturally sinful, but if they sinned, they would go to that terrible hell. That kept everyone under constant pressure to be close to perfect. No one could relax. And that may be what caused the nightmare of the witches. The whole world believed in witches. There was nothing new about that. People thought that if you wanted to make a bargain with the devil, you could do it. And then torment people and fly through the air on a broomstick. Or become invisible and squeeze through keyholes. Everyone knew that witches could create thunder, sink ships, kill sheep, and make tables and chairs rattle. Back in the days of Christopher Columbus, Pope Innocent VIII had issued orders that witches were to be burned. So, in Switzerland, during 3 months in 1515, more than 500 witches went to the stake. Soon fires were lit in France and Germany and all over Europe. England's King James wrote a book about witches, but he wasn't alone. London's publishers were busy with the subject. In the 17th century, Parliament appointed Matthew Hopkins as a witch finder. And Hopkins found a lot of witches. Anyone with a pimple or a wart or a mole was a suspect. Those are said to be devil's marks. It was amazing. After torture, many people confessed to knowing the devil. So look, whenever you give someone a job, like witch finder, he's got to find witches or he loses the job. So he's going to find witches. And then when you torture people, they'll admit to anything. So you're not getting the truth. That's why torture doesn't work as a form of confession, because people will just lie to have you stop hurting them, and you don't get the truth. In the colonies, some men and women were hanged or drowned for witchery. But what happened in Salem, Massachusetts was different from the usual story. It all began with some little girls and their servant, Tituba. Now, Tituba was a poor woman from the West Indies who told stories of the devil and witches and voodoo. The girls were 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris, 11-year-old Abigail Williams, and their friends. Tituba's stories must have been scary, especially around the fire at night. But when Tituba taught the girls to bark like dogs and mew like cats and grunt like hogs, that might have been fun. Although Elizabeth's father, the Reverend Samuel Parris, didn't think it was fun at all. When he saw the children grunting and mewing and sometimes acting as if they were having fits or spasms, he remembered reading books from England about spells laid on people by witches. He became alarmed. And then, to everyone's astonishment, on Sunday, the girls spoke out during church meeting and said silly things. "There is a yellow bird on the minister's head," cried Ann Putnam. No one would interrupt a church service except the devil. So when the girls said Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba were bewitching them, everyone believed them. The two Sarahs denied the charge, but they were old and poor, and no one listened to them, especially after Tituba said that she did indeed fly through the air on a broomstick. The little girls might have been pretending when they started. Oh, so they're not going to say that? So Tituba, that woman, the slave, she was beaten until she admitted that she would talk to the devil. So you're not getting an honest report there. She's in church and she's afraid of getting hit again, so she's just saying whatever that they wanted.
Whatever she wants. Not speak.
The little girls might have been pretending when they started, but soon they were telling of torture and witchery. And perhaps they convinced themselves, or maybe now they were afraid to tell the truth. The stories grew longer and their screeches louder. They were accused one another, person after another, of putting spells on them. People came from all over Massachusetts to watch them squeal and grunt. What was to be done? Suddenly, anything that went wrong in that little town was the fault of a witch. Salem was mad with witch fever. 5-year-old Dorcas Good was taken to jail and chained to her mother when the girl said she was tormenting them. Then other people began talking of witches and pointing at their neighbors. A court was called to hear the evidence. The judges were scared like everyone else. The leaders of the community who might have done some thinking didn't. More than 100 people were tried as witches. 20 people and 2 dogs were put to death. Then the Reverend Hale's wife was accused. But there was no one in Massachusetts more beloved and godly than she. Could it be that the girls were wrong? Everyone had believed them. No one had believed the victims. Were those people who had been killed innocent? Yes. An awful tragedy had occurred. So that Reverend Hale's wife, Reverend Hale is they were kind of rich, and they were living in Salem town, not Salem village. And she had commented, and I think it was put in a newspaper that it was fake or whatever. And the girls started accusing her from far away. And that's when the people in the town said, wait a minute. You're accusing this woman who's rich and hanging out here of witchcraft from over there. This is ridiculous. She had too much power. And it got shut down like that. Okay. The witch trials were a shameful chapter in American history. Although when one of the judges, Samuel Sewell, realized the wrong that had been done, he publicly apologized. The court cleared the names of those who had died. That does make this story better than some. It was a time of witch fear. There have been many witch hangings and burnings in Europe and America. Never before was there a public apology. But something devilish did die in that little town of Salem. It was the belief in witchcraft. Most people had learned a sad lesson. All right. Bye, Connor. Did you get rid of the... Where are you, Connor? I think he disappeared. Oh, no, I gotta go look for him. Maybe the Puritans have got him. Bye.